What is up, RPG nerds? In this video, I will be ranking all of the the traditional Final Fantasy games, aka turn-based Final Fantasy games, based on turn-based ones that are actually Final Fantasy games, so not some, like, kickoffs to Saga or Bravely Default or anything. Anyway, you get the point. Traditional Final Fantasy games ranked by their boss lineups. So this is going to be interesting and very different because some games that I don't like have great bosses. So, I mean, they're bosses. Okay, anyway, let's do this. This is not... I was about to make a Home Alone 4 joke, and then I realized that nobody in the right mind watches Home Alone 4. So, anyway, okay. Oh, boy. Okay, anyway. Let's go with Final Fantasy 1. You know, Final Fantasy 1 actually has a great boss lineup. That's one thing that's super iconic. Like, I played that game once. And then, like, I mean, it's just like you can't forget the bosses in this game. I don't know how they did it, but you just can't. Like, I could be an old man with dementia. I can't even remember my parents' names, and I could probably... Just kidding. I wouldn't go that far, but it's like, if I had dementia, it'd be like my parents' names, and then the Final Fantasy 1 boss is next. I mean, it's like that insane. Like, why am I laughing? I'm not funny, but like that's just wrong. But anyway, Final Fantasy 1 has a great boss lineup with the Four Fiends, Chaos, and all those goobers, and then also the whatever it's called. Oh, Garland, Death Machine, Atos. Yeah. Also, if you count remade versions, which I do count remade versions, especially for lists like this where we're comparing it to slightly newer games, even though they're really not that new at this point. It still baffles me that FF10 is like 20 years old at this point. But anyway, I mean, it came out like 3 years before I was born. I mean, anyway, sorry. Besides the point. When people call FF10 retro, I'm like, oh my gosh, it is kind of retro. Anyway, Final Fantasy 1, but if you're counting newer versions, especially the PSP version, where you get to fight the bosses, some of the best bosses from 3, 4, 5, and 6, as well as the new Chronodia boss, which is one of my favorite bosses in the series, not going to lie. FF1 has a pretty goated boss lineup. Honestly, this will change, I'm sure, but I'm going to throw it up an S. I mean, unironically, like, it's awesome. Like, say what you will about FF1, but the bosses are awesome. Especially actually fighting some of those, like Omega. I prefer the Omega and Shinryu that are in this game than the ones in 5. Because the ones in 5, you can just rapid fire them to death and all that garbage, and it's so boring. But in 1, I mean, we'll get to 5. But anyway, and in 1, it's awesome. Chronodia is so fun. Chaos is still one of the best final bosses. Really up there, honestly, in my opinion. Like, super fun final boss. I love Final Fantasy 1's boss lineup. It's just a great time. So, yeah. All right, Final Fantasy 2. I love Final Fantasy 2, but its boss lineup is not quite as good as 1's, but it's still pretty dang good. I mean, we've got some of those iconic ones like Red Soul, Adamantoise, Borgin, the Emperor fights. Okay, there's not that many, but the ones that there are fun. Also in the new versions, both fighting the Emperor twice is fun. Ultima Weapon is a good fight. Dumian is a good fight. Fekros is a good fight. But yeah, it's kind of pales in comparison to 1, but I'm going to put it in B tier. I think that was the most ugly sound I've ever made. But yeah, I'm going to put it in B tier. I think that's fair for now. And there are, like, the ones that there are fun. Just a lot of them are more forgettable. But I think by the end of the game, a lot of them there are kind of forgettable, like the ones in the final dungeon. But there's a lot of them, and they're fun fights, even if no one cares about Astaroth or whatever. Like, no one's thinking about that boss, but like, it's still a good boss fight. I mean, there's a lot of boss fights at the end, and it's fun. I mean, I enjoyed it, so that's what matters, I guess. So yeah, Final Fantasy 3. Oh, Final Fantasy 3. You fight some good. Let's see. I really like Iron Giant. I'm gonna count Iron Giant since I don't know. I think the Pixel Remaster and 3D versions are about just as good in my mind. I mean, 3D's slow, but it has a bit more content. So, sorry. I've been talking for the past couple hours. Sorry about that. I think Final Fantasy 3, it's got a couple good ones, but most of them are largely forgettable. I think that the fights are better than the designs and the bosses themselves. Like, I do like some of the fights, but some of them are either gimmicky or just too easy. But the Cloud of Darkness and the what's it called, the Iron Giant are fun. The 4 bosses at the end, they're pretty fun. Garuda, I like. A lot of people hate that boss, but I liked how hard it was. Salamander's decent. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's as good as 2. Just because of how much the Emperor carries, I honestly like FF2's boss lineup better. I think the Iron Giant and the Cloud of Darkness I do enjoy, but I still think 2 wins. I'm going to put FF3 in C, honestly, unfortunately. All right. Final Fantasy IV's bosses are so good. Oh, my goodness. I'm just going to go... what? Where are we? I think I'm just going to throw it up in S+. I mean, that'll probably change. Maybe. Probably not, though, honestly. I think FF4, for all of its... I mean, depending on the version, some of the actual combat is boring as heck, but the boss fights are just phenomenal. I mean, we get 4 fiends again. I wouldn't say they quite stick in my head as much as ones do for some reason, even though they're definitely better characters. But I forgot how to pronounce the first one, and I'm not going to try because I don't know how to speak Italian, and someone always comes at me if I try to pronounce it. But the one that starts with, I think it's like, okay, fine, I'll try to pronounce it. Scarmiglione. I think that's how you say it. I'm going to type it. Pronunciation. Why did... oh my gosh, I forgot to put my hands on the keys. Pronunciation. Okay, no.
Pronouncenames.com.
Oh, this is not the... okay, it is Italy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Scarmiglione. To the one person that always tries to correct me. Hopefully I got it right this time. Sorry if I didn't. I tried. And the other ones. Rubicante is definitely the best. Cognazzo is a fun fight. I mean, they're all fun. Then when you fight them all together, that's one of my favorite bosses in the series. The CPU's awesome. We have 3 TVs because my dad was being a little extra. And we all wanted to play games or at different times or whatever. Or, like, my dad wanted to watch 2 football games and play FF6 at the same time because he wants to be crazy. Anyway, we have 3 TVs, and the middle one is CPU, and the other ones are attack and defense. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. This game just has power in its boss lineup. I mean, there's a lot of great ones. And if you play the 3D version or the 2D version, I mean, either the PSP or the DS/mobile, you get Gurion and Protobabble, which are awesome, or you get Bronchio Kyra de however you pronounce that, the dinosaur thing, and Zero Miss EG and the Lunar Eidolons. Like, I think either way you go, as long as you're not playing the awful, I mean, they're not awful, but in my opinion, the worst versions, aka the original, the PS1, or Pixel Remaster, even though the music in Pixel Remaster is definitely the best. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is FF4, but even if you don't play with those ones. I'd still say it's S plus. It just has so many good boss fights, and I just am like Golbez, amazing, Dark Elf, amazing, whatever the frick. Oh, the Demon Wall. I love the Demon Wall. I love bosses that are just not even powerful, but they're just walls of HP. I think I'm probably the only one on the planet, but I do love that because I just feel OP. I mean, I feel like I'm not actually, like, I don't know. You get the satisfaction of killing a boss, but you don't have to strategize. That usually sucks, but I like having one or two of those in every game, like, the Demon Wall, or like, I don't know, Volt and Tales of Xillia. That's probably the most random example, but it's true. Anyway, that's besides the point. Let's move on to Final Fantasy IV, the After Years, which every boss in this game is either a rehash or it's just forgettable. I hate to say it, but I do like the fact that, was this the game with the dad bomb, or was that Final Fantasy IV interlude? It was one of the two. Okay, it's interlude. I like the dad bomb. I thought that was funny. But other than that, and that's an interlude, so that's pretty not even relevant either. But yeah, I didn't really care for any of the bosses in Final Fantasy IV, the After Years. Actually, to be frank, I think it'll go in F tier. I think it's the worst on this list in terms of boss fights. Yeah, they're just rehashes or they're not interesting. I mean, they're literally either copies. I mean, the creator, but she's also boring too. She's just blue-haired Rydia, so whatever. All right, Final Fantasy V. This one's hard. I honestly, it's between this and FF4, it's pretty hard for me. I think because there's awesome ones like Atomos, Gilgamesh, X-Death is super fun. That is one thing I don't like about 4. The final boss is kind of boring. X-Death is way better. Neo X-Death is awesome. Oh yeah, Shinryu Omega. If you're playing the newer versions, Inuo is an awesome, like, extra bonus boss. Neo Shinryu Omega Mark II. All the bosses in the, what's it called? Frick Place. Interdimensional Rift. Oh, the boss where you have to fight at the same time, the magic and the weapon. One person's magic, one's... 2 people are magic, 2 people are physical. You split up your party in the, what's it called, tower. Leviathan, the crystals. I mean, there's so many good bosses in this game. You know what? I'm giving it to 5. I mean, 4 might have won the hearts of our TVs, but 5 won my heart, and that sounded like a bad Keanu Reeves quote. But anyway, the point here is, I'd say 4 and 5 are neck and neck, but I think that 5 takes the slight lead for me, just because the bosses have a bit more... Oh, also the famed Mimic Go-Go, actually trying to beat him is super fun. It's crazy, but yeah, I think that 4 is a bit more iconic, memorable bosses, like the designs of the bosses, I feel like I like a little more, but the actual gameplay of 5, I think I appreciate more in terms of the boss fights. Let's see, what are some other ones I really like? I don't know. I feel like in terms of FF5 and FF4, there's probably like half the boss lineup is probably within the top 25% of bosses in the Final Fantasy series for me. Like 5 and 4 just have amazing boss fights all around, and I don't know if anything else on this list is going to challenge them, but we'll see. Oh no, definitely. There's definitely one that will challenge them and probably win, but the rest of these games are a little bit lax on their boss fights, unfortunately. So, yeah. Final Fantasy VI, I love this game. It's my second favorite Final Fantasy game, but its boss fights, Ultros is funny. Kefka's pretty fun. I like that if people die, they get replaced or whatever, but I like that gimmick more than the actual fight. It's not that... The Kaiser Dragon. Oh, the dragons are very fun, especially the dragons that you fight in the GBA and defunct mobile version. The dragons that you fight in the Dragon's Den are really fun. But I think all around, I mean, I still think it's going to be FF2, but I'm going to put it in A. Maybe probably move it down to B. Realistically, I think I'll keep it in A for now. I think that they're fine. Some of them are good, but a lot of the game is just fighting Ultros, which is fine. I mean, Ultros and Kefka are good, but pretty much everything else is pretty forgettable, if I'm going to be honest. Yeah, I hate to say it, but 6 is going to go down probably. You know, I'll just admit it now. 6 is going to go in B. I don't even think it's that much better than 2 in terms of the boss fights. The gimmicks aren't even really that interesting either. I love 6, but the boss fights are not really part of it, except for the ones I like the dragon fights in the Dragon's Den, but I feel like that's too niche and not in enough versions of the game to be able to, say that that's like why it's the best, one of the best. So, all right, Final Fantasy VII has some awesome boss fights. I appreciate that a lot of them are like actual people, not just random monsters. I do appreciate that, like the Turks and stuff. I really do like that. I really like the Sephiroth fights are usually fun. Genova fights are usually fun, and Sephiroth is fun. There's not multiple Sephiroth fights. The weapons kind of carry. That's part of why I'm going to rank FF7 as high as I do. A lot of the weapons are a big part of that. They're really iconic. I don't know. I just think fighting Shinra and Sephiroth and Genova and the weapons, it's just a little more memorable than some of these other ones. I think I'm going to put it... Let's see. What other bosses are there in the game? I think I appreciate the fact that FF7 has a lot more, I'm trying to separate it from the remake. I really like the bosses in the remake. Oh, and just all the bosses that you fight in a row at the Shinra building are awesome. I love the Shinra building. Yeah, I think FF7, I don't think they're quite as... No, FF7 will go in S. I don't think I made it sound like it was going to go in S. Sorry about that, but it's going in S. I think that FF7 has a really good boss lineup. So there's that. I think that it's pretty great. So yeah. All right, Final Fantasy VIII. I love Final Fantasy VIII, but its boss lineup is mid as heck. Every good boss, I think, the last 5 bosses of the... Well, okay. If it's not Edea, Safer, or one of the weapons at the very end of the game, it's boring. Let me make sure that's right. No. The first boss. Biggs and Wedge right into the big... Biggs and Wedge fighting that thing and then going into the running away from the weapon. The machine robot thing is really fun. That, Edea, Safer. Oh, now that I'm thinking about it, it's actually pretty good. FF8 isn't really that long, and you fight Edea and Safer a lot. You know what? I think I'm going to throw FF8 in A. There's not that many bosses, but to be fair, the ones that are a little more memorable than 6 for me. Yeah, and the final boss against Edea and the ultimate weapon and the Omega weapon and Safer, they're all really good. They're pretty easy, but they're all pretty good, so yeah. FF9, I think the problem with this game is that the gameplay is just too slow and the bosses are too easy. Even Ozma, I still don't know why people think that's so hard. I beat it on the first try at level 28 as a kid. Yeah, I was not even at level 30 because I ran away from battle so much, and I beat Ozma my first try. I don't really understand that whole stuff. I don't know where I was going with that. I like the Black Waltz fights. Those are memorable. Ozma's fine. I liked Hades. Uh, C tier. Mm, C tier. Most of my favorite bosses were ones that you had to die to, like Beatrix. I don't know. The bosses are just too easy in this game. The battles are too slow. I don't care. Actually, no. Iron Giant's better than everything in FF9. Okay, FF9 D tier for bosses. I like some of the bosses that you fight, like they're cool, but the gameplay is just so unbelievably bad. I keep trashing on 9. Every time it's a gameplay related video, I'm trashing on 9, which is sad to me because I really love the game, but it's hard to play. I'm sorry, but it's true in my opinion. So yeah. All right, Final Fantasy X is easily on the top. It's kind of not even close. There's so many crazy bosses in the monster arena. I mean, Sinspawn Gui is still one of my favorite bosses in the series. All the Sinspawns, all the Seymour fights, all the everything. That one fight on the airship, the fight against the final Aeons, Penance, Nemesis. I could go on for eons. I don't even know. I feel like I got to move everything down a tier just because of how good FF10's. Yeah, I think the FF10 needs to be on its own tier. That looks right. I think this game just has so many good boss fights. Every single boss is like an event. I mean, there's a couple in there that are like, like, I don't know, that one random one, like Via Purifico, if I'm remembering correctly. But, I mean, there's way worse in other games. Like, who cares about those random two little beasts you fight at the top of the tower in FF8? I mean, in Daling City or whatever. Like, nobody cares. But, like, FF10, like, even the worst boss fights are still better than, like, the best boss fights of FF9. I mean, gameplay-wise, at least. So, I mean, I don't know. FF10 definitely has the best boss fights, in my opinion. So, hopefully you'll stay to watch the rest. FF10 2, this suffers the exact same thing as FF9 to me. At least the gameplay's a little... No, but the gameplay's more fun, but none of the bosses are actually interesting story-wise. I'm going to put it below. I think that the gameplay is just so unbelievably easy. And it's fun, more fun than 9, but I don't care about any of the boss fights in 10-2. 9, at least I like their designs and stuff like that. But I'm sorry, it's just so boring. I mean, there's one or two fun bosses, like that one that has like 400,000 health, but that was still too easy. I mean, this game is just, it's too easy. And I don't want bosses that I just kill in like 2 hits. Like, I got to the final boss and I beat it so fast, and I wasn't even completely overpowered like I was in 10. I mean, I beat it because I did max damage, and in FF10 too, I beat it doing like 2,000 damage in like a couple turns. Like, it was so weak. So bad. I'm sorry, FF10 too, but your bosses are awful. Okay, anyway. Let's do FF Dimensions. I don't know what this order was. I forgot to arrange those last few, I guess. FF Dimensions 1, the gameplay is always good, but the bosses are forgettable. I'm going to put it right here. I remember maybe 2 bosses in this game, but I remember having fun fighting them, especially the ones that you fight in that one room at the end of the game. So I remember having fun fighting them. I don't remember the bosses themselves, but that's still better. I'd still rather have bosses I remember having fun, like fighting and having fun, than, okay, cool story characters that I'm fighting, but I couldn't care less about the actual fight. This is a boss ranking, not a story ranking, and therefore I think Dimensions triumphs over FF9. Dimensions 2, I think, is actually a different story. A lot of people, again, don't play this game, but I actually think this game had a lot of fun bosses. As its own take on Protobabble from FF4, it has oh my gosh, I'm yawning, sorry. I've been up for way too long today. Woke up at like 3 a.m. Anyway, I've said that in the last like 4 videos because I'm recording like 10 videos back to back. But anyway, the point is, Final Fantasy Dimensions 2 has some good bosses. And the gameplay in Dimensions 2 is honestly just kind of gas. So a lot of people won't admit it, but it's true. It's fun. It's CTB. It's kind of like a mix between FF10 and FF7. I think it's awesome. And there's a couple boss fights in this game. There's the one where you fight like the 4 Chinese beasts, and I really liked that. You know, I'm gonna move FF6 up to B. No, I'm gonna move FF2 up to B. I don't know why 6 was above 2. I think I like 2's boss fights better. So 2 will go there, and Dimensions 2 will go here. I mean, it's not amazing, but it has a couple good ones. So, but I don't think it has as many good boss fights as 6. So, yeah. All right, tactics ones are weird because it's hard to know what constitutes a boss fight and what doesn't. Tactics, well, I'll go with Tactics Advance first. I don't remember anything in Tactics Advance, so I want to put it right here. I'm sorry, Tactics Advance, but I don't really care that you exist. You're kind of like just worse Tactics A2, but not as good as Tact. I'm sorry, I don't like this game very much. So we'll put that right there. All right, Final Fantasy Tactics. From what I would say are considered boss fights, I'll put it right here. I don't really know, because defining a boss fight is hard in these games. I don't really know what you would call a boss fight. I mean, I know like a couple things that are definitely considered boss fights, but I don't know everything that would be considered a boss, because every battle's kind of like a boss fight in a sense, that you're using all your resources on it, and it's hard. Or it's just super easy. I guess those ones feel like enemy fights, but if I'm counting, I don't know. I don't really know what to say for Tactics. That's kind of weird. Tactics A2. I guess I'll move FF6 up to B. I think Tactics A2 is a couple more definitive boss fights, like the red mage, blue mage thingies, and the ant lion. Like, I only remember there being like one very, very, not one, like a couple very, very, very obvious quote unquote boss fights in Tactics. One, maybe I'm just delusional, but I remembered a bit more like single enemies that have a ton of health in A2. Maybe that's just me being weird, but I don't know. So I'll put them both in C. I don't really know what to say for that. And this is going to end pretty anticlimactically because World of Final Fantasy is kind of similar. World of Final Fantasy has some good boss fights, I guess. Put it in B. Right there. Well, that was very anticlimactic at the end there because those last few were a little whack. But those games are great, but their boss fights are forgettable as heck. So, thank you all for watching this video. Let me know down below what you think. Did I rank Final Fantasy 1 too high? Did I rank FF10 too high? Did I rank FF6 too low? I feel like some people will definitely think that, but thank you all for watching this video. Oh, someone's going to hate me for where I put 9. I mean, they always do, because I just don't like the gameplay in that game. Sorry, but anyway, thank you all for watching this video. I am going to go take a nap now because I woke up way too long ago, and I wanted to make like 10 videos, but I probably should make like, I think I'm going to stop it at 4 for today because I need to catch up on videos because I haven't made one in 45 days, but I'll probably make some more after I wake up from a nap, but otherwise I'm going to keep yawning in videos, so I'm going to stop. But thank you all for watching this video. Peace out, RPG fans. I'll see you in the next traditional Final Fantasy ranking video because there's going to be like 15 more. Anyway, see ya.